stuff.
No. We'll see it on
Okay.
YouTube anyway.
All right.
Yeah, if it's recorded, it's fine. No worries. Yeah, it's fine. All right. Where did
Do
we
you have an
leave off
argument
at?
for
Yeah, I can
let's
give an
just start.
argument.
Let's just start.
Okay. Sure. So my argument is just simply. Didn't I get? Okay. Anyway, it's fine. Okay, it's fine. So my argument is just to fetus as a person, abortion is generally wrong. What does Pona set up?
Is generally wrong, not like universally wrong?
You can choose general.
Are you cashing out person?
Some entity with a substantial rational form.
With a what?
To a rational form. Would just it takes the Aristotelian reading on substance, so composite object of matter and form.
It takes the composite object of matter and form, so it has like a form to it.
Yeah, under the Aristotelian reading.
Why would I accept the Aristotelian reading over entropic explanation and Darwinian models?
Are you just asking for the argument?
I'm asking for any motivation.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The argument is just
I'm
simply
asking
that.
for any
fact,
motivation. Yeah.
Oh, I'm giving it actually. Are you okay? Okay, cool. Just checking. So
There's a lag on your part.
oh, is there?
There's like a 4-second delay, so like I was wondering why you took so long to respond to me. So.
Okay, let me drop. Hang on. Hold on.
What?
Yeah, shut your bitch ass.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay, is there still a lag?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, the motivation is that if act impotency is true, or rather, if act impotency is the best explanation for change, then we can accept the predicates that instantiate act impotency, namely form and matter. Form and matter is true, then entities in the universe are composite objects of both form and matter. Therefore, fetus is composed of both form.
Well, here posits that they're the best explanation for change, right? Motivate this understanding as opposed to an entropic explanation or like a Darwinian reading of carbon-based systems. So obviously there's going to be an issue there. Like, why would I accept that?
Can't account for persistence of identity.
Persistence of identity? So persistence of identity is like a prediction under the Aristotelian hypothesis that is not expected under a Darwinian model.
Well, presumably you want to say that there's stable relations under your worldview, correct?
Stable relations? I take those to be like semantic.
Okay, you don't think they have? Okay, I mean that's perfectly fine, but they can't even cash out the semantics of that either. Right?
You can cash out the semantics because when dealing with a hypothesis, unless it's a semantic thesis, you're not going to want to posit semantics as the explanandum for your explanans. Why would you do that?
I'm not. The problem is that I'm not doing it.
What objection did I levy at you that posited semantics as the explanandum?
that these things must be cashed out with semantics. I don't take that view. I think stable relations are real items.
There's a misunderstanding. So when you say stable relations, I take those to be able to be cashed out under any Darwinian model or entropic explanation in the universe. Now, what I wanted is a phenomenon that is not expected under an entropic explanation. I'd love to hear why that's the case.
Why? Well, why it's a phenomenon? Well, the phenomena probably wouldn't be stable relations implicator. We could probably just move over to things like unification and emergent properties that anthropic or Darwinian models can't account for, insofar that these things aren't found within the natural world.
You said unification in what?
Emergent.
Okay, and a unification in emergent properties. Where does that? Where is that phenomena? Like emergent properties?
Where seems like a category error. They're not anywhere.
Okay, so the phenomena does happen, right?
Yeah.
And there's no, it doesn't occupy space-time?
Well, the effects of it occur. That's how we know they exist.
The
can
effects
observe
of
the actual
unification.
phenomena.
The effects of unification.
Yeah.
So it seems more like it's the effects that are going to be the phenomena, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just tell me that the effects were the phenomena and tell me that, you just give me the list of the effects when I ask for the phenomena?
Because typically when people talk about items such as emergence, unification, we can even go further, like love, hate, things of that sort. Obviously, this thing is directly observable in the natural world. I don't think I can put love in a bottle and observe it. I think that what we understand these things to be are the kinds of things that are constituted by their effects. I think that's just trivial.
Okay, so the phenomena that you're positing would just be something that is not even accepted by the physicalists, right?
Oh, yeah, they wouldn't accept it.
Okay, you have an argument for why those exist, as opposed to just like dopamine reception, which I take them to just be.
Yeah, you could take something like any item in the universe. So we could use something like a wheel or a ball or something like that, in which we can't find the property of rollingness or anything like that in the constituents of the item. So I can't find it in the aggregated. I can't find it in the rubber. I can't find it in any of these things. But when these things have a form and they're formalized in such a way, these emergent in property ascertains
Rollingness. So you can't find rollingness when you look at a wheel, right?
No, I mean,
And if I were to ask you to cash out rollingness, would you be able to do that?
you can observe rollingness.
Yeah, I could observe the phenomena of rolling, and I can observe the necessary and sufficient criterion for that, which would be like something tantamount to 360-degree radius. If by rolling.
Hang on, but if some item meets that condition, then the property already exists, right? So something's already explaining that emergent property.
Is that a biconditional or a material conditional?
Probably a material conditional.
I don't know. That was like the stupid answer. Sorry, not to be rude, but like, you're gonna want to say it was like a biconditional, or at least a subjunctive conditional.
It can be. It's perfectly fine. It's fine.
It's perfectly fine to be a material conditional.
Sorry, no. I just think.
But for the Aristotelian who was like talking so much about relations in their actualization,
the reason why it's fine again is just because it's not attacking anything. I don't really care about this.
Well, it is attacking. It is attacking because it's very problematic. Because for the Aristotelian who wants to talk so much about relations and causations, it seems like you're really going to want to jump for at least a subjunctive conditional here. Why would you not just like posit a subjunctive conditional? Why would you posit it as a material conditional?
I don't see why it would be incompatible or contradictory positing it as a material conditional. I'm not seeing the contradiction there.
Do you know what a material conditional is?
Yes, of course.
Oh, what?
But why don't you say?
Okay, Apollo.
So I know that. You know. Yeah, why don't you say it? I know that you know it.
It's where one proposition implies another on a truth table without like an case in which the consequent is true and the antecedent is also true. That would be sufficient for it to be a material conditional, even if they don't actually have like a material relation to each other or a causal relation to each other. It doesn't matter. They could just both be false. And so a popular example would be like what's a good example? If Apollo's like the best debater of all time, then I'm a monkey's uncle. Now, that's a true implication. That's a material implication because there's no case in which the consequent is true and the antecedent false. or sorry, the antecedent true and the consequent false. Because there's just no case in which either of them are true or simpliciter. So if it's a material conditional, it seems like it doesn't really have any causal weight to it. Whereas if you wanted a subjunctive conditional, for example, then there would be a causal relation there. And so I don't know why you would posit it being a material conditional in the first place. That's what I'm asking, and that's what you're dodging.
I'm dodging why it would be. Well, I provided that reason. I don't know why you're saying that I'm dodging, right? Do you
What
remember
was the reason?
I'm asking you to remember it.
I don't remember the reason that is non-existent.
Okay, very, very strange too.
I don't remember getting pegged by a unicorn on Thursday, because that didn't happen.
Sure, totally. Okay, so when you watch this recording back on YouTube, I guess we could just do this. Hey, Lucario, what's up? You're a fucking moron. Because the reason provided previously is that I don't see the contradiction in positing
That's
why.
not motivation for it.
That is a motivation.
No, that's not motivation.
Yes, it is. If you observe a phenomenon, hang on. If you observe a phenomenon in the natural,
that's just expected under the hypothesis that you're just not familiar with the subjective implications of impliciter. So I don't think you even really have a firm grasp of,
and you don't see any contradiction within that.
That didn't motivate me in the
slightest. That counts as a reason, and it counts as a motivator in favor of that. That's just trivial. That's obvious.
That's supposing that the person who doesn't see it, we're talking about your epistemic domain. We're not talking about there not being a contradiction at all. We're talking about your perception. And your perception is that of somebody who doesn't know the difference between a material and a subjunctive conditional.
The confusion isn't whether or not under like my fucking epistemological schema something might be motivating in virtue of like my knowledge or something like that. It's just to say that if some agent fails to observe a particular contradiction, that at least counts in favor or as a motivator to accept some given belief. That's trivial.
No, given my priors and your understandings of logic, you not seeing a contradiction actually motivates me to believe that there's some credence for there actually being a contradiction, in virtue of the fact that you, Lit, who does not understand these basic things, does not see a contradiction.
Doesn't touch my claim.
Look, the proposition that I'm saying is that you did not motivate it. You did not provide motivation. The things that you provided, you thought were motivations. Those are not motivations. They do the opposite. I want you to actually give motivations now.
Motivations as to why I don't see a contradiction?
No, as to why it's a material.
That was the Hello, that was the motivation. This functions as a motivation. This is what do you think a motivation is?
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, can you at least repeat to me what a material conditional is?
It's when like the antecedent and the consequent. Yeah, I have a sore throat. It's when the antecedent and the consequent both.
Yeah, me too.
So there's a relation between the two.
Yeah. So, is there a subjunctive conditional as well, or just a material implication?
There could be a subjunctive conditional as well. Sure.
Look, that's not an answer to the question, though.
Okay, what do you think we're looking for? What do you think we're trying to correspond right now?
Identify if there's like a causal relation or a biconditional between roundness and something that is indicative of a 300-degree circle.
And I probably, yeah, sure,
360 degrees. Sorry, not roundness, but a rollingness specifically. So in the physical domain, rollingness I take to be almost biconditional, indicative or has symmetry to a 360-degree object. Now I take that to be a biconditional, but you say it's a material conditional, but you also had no fucking clue what a material conditional was. Did I asked you to motivate why.
Hang on. Did I say it is exclusively a material conditional?
Is it what other conditional is it? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I assumed you said something productive. I assumed you said something that was informative. You didn't even tell me that it was a material condition. You just said that it could be. It could be. So I have to use my head canon.
Hang on. So we're wasting.
You don't even know what you said. I have to.
If
that's something that you believe, you would have told me that you didn't say it earlier. I have to remind you of the things that you say. I have to make assumptions for you.
This is really bad.
You actually gave motivation.
There's a stable relation between the two a lot of.
a stable relation between the two relata. How are you cashing out stable relation?
There's just a corresponding connection that that ascertains or that is true.
There's some sort of connection. Is that connection of a biconditional nature?
Sure.
Okay, beautiful. So that was the issue though. So logic table, they would be identical. That's what a biconditional is. So for all remnants of 360 degrees in the physical domain, that has rollingness. For all rollingness, that has remnants of a 360 degree item in the physical domain. But if on the logical table there's identity preservation there, then there's no issue with me saying that that's just a semantic thing and there's not an actual distinction between those two. So I'm able to explain those things under an entropic explanation by positing them as identical and analytic. And you actually have to agree with me there, because you yourself on a logical table have to concede that it's identical. That's what a biconditional is.
Grr.
But earlier you told me that would be problematic to do, but you just displayed why it's necessary.
Grr. The supporting argument that I'm providing is rather necessarily true hypothesis insofar that it's just analytically true.
Yeah, I'm not motivated by any of the premises that you offer for your argument.
When it comes to the argument of emergence.
Yeah, I really just wanted a phenomena that wasn't expected under the opposing hypothesis. Whereas I think at best, if we were to steelman your position, you're not going to want a biconditional. But when my position stipulates it as a biconditional, well, that means it's even more, it's like the probability of it being expected under the hypothesis would be 1, unless you want to upgrade yours for some reason, for like, if you just want to kind of manipulate the priors that you have, where you manipulates it's a 1, taking away any meaning from it, then yeah, but then there's no reason to like use a different terminology, such as so many remnants of 360 degrees physical object in the physical domain, and then rollingness. But you want to make those distinctions because your entire theory has a point to take 1 and not a biconditional, because you're actually making that inference there, which is usually of a subjunctive nature. But if mine is able to do it under a biconditional nature, then mine has it locked in where the phenomena that my view is trying to explain is significantly more expected under my hypothesis, making me more probable than yours. You kind of shot yourself in the foot there.
Okay, we'll concede the point of emergence. We'll move on to
Premise 1, the fetus is a person. If the fetus is a person, then abortion is generally wrong. Are you cashing out person there? There.
An entity with a substantial rational form.
Oh wait, I already asked that, didn't I? Yeah, I got a little ting recollection where I remember you did tell me that. Fetus is a person with substantial rational form. Wait, what was premise 2? Oh, it was just an affirmation of the antecedent?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have issues with stuff. It's hard because you conceded like motivations for it, so now I just like don't accept your semantics. I don't accept premise. Premise 2 actually. I don't think the fetus actually is a person.
Well, one of the my semantics of person, the fetus isn't a person. How's that?
Under your semantic, because your semantics appeal to an Aristotelian model of physics, and I don't accept those for reasons that we just discussed. So under my view, there's no such thing as a person.
Well, the problem with that is that we only investigated the emergent property that caches the view. There were still other things positive, such as unification, or was it emergence? Yeah, emergence.
Unification and emergence.
Yeah, emergence is okay. There's also persistence.
Well, given the way that this conversation went on the emergence routes, I'm hypothesizing what's going to happen if we went down the unification route, and I'm not very interested in it. I don't think I'm going to be convinced of that either.
Not the unification, the persistence route.
The persistence, rather?
No,
Okay, how are you
I said persistence, then you said unification.
How are you cashing out persistence?
Persistence would just be the manner in which some entity exists throughout space-time.
That seems like a variable, not really a phenomena that is expected under your view, as opposed to an entropic explanation. So is there a phenomena?
How would that not be a phenomena? Define phenomena real quick.
A phenomena is a state of affairs. Yours is a variable. So when you have that as variable, like the manner in which...
I was lagging, sorry, go again.
Okay, you're good. And there's still kind of a lag, so whenever you talk over me, I'm not going to assume it's an interruption. Just whenever I talk over you, please don't assume it's an interruption. It's because there's some sort of disconnection. But when you say persistence is the manner in which an entity... Wait, what did you say?
Yeah, it exists or continues through space-time.
Okay, just exists through... That's what you say. Yeah, just exists through space-time. Well, there's a plethora of different manners, or at least... plethora of different possible manners in which an entity exists through space-time. And presumably you're going to grant under an entropic explanation of physics that they're going to have at least some type. And so as long as there's some type, specifying the type without satisfying the variable, you fail to get a phenomenon that is true of one, expected of one, that is not true of the other.
Define, maybe I missed it, but did you define phenomena?
Yeah, I said a state of affairs.
Okay, just a state of affairs. Okay, so the problem is that when you're employing these anthropic views or these Darwinian views of persistence, these things just fail trivially when you employ any kind of in which, let's say you step through a teletransporter or you get cloned, things of that sort.
Darwinian views of personhood?
No, if you were to try to cash out persistence, not personhood.
Persistence, okay. Persistence of an entity gets destroyed trivially. Do you have an argument for that?
You just take any fission-fusion case.
Can you give one?
X is composed of X is identical to the biological constituents. X steps through a fucking portal that fucking atomizes the shit out of them. X re-exists at a different point in space-time. Did X die, or did X...
Well, I mean, your question answers itself where you use the same variable, like you still say X. You might want to say Y, and then you can ask the question, is Y identical with X? You could do something like that. But your question just answered itself. There was nothing there.
Well, the problem is, when you say it answered itself, that's because the case is quite trivial, right? So it's just simply to say, okay, has X become Y? Has X ceased in some way? Does X still exist? If the material constituents have been essentially atomized.
What does that respond to?
Anthropic and Darwinian views fail to account for persistence.
No, not the whole thing. I meant the most recent part. I was just saying, yeah. Your initial question kind of answers it. Here, I have a question. Do you think that this is in the more propositional domain or the semantic domain?
Propositional, sure. It could be both.
Oh, really? Well, I think it's entirely semantic.
You don't think it's propositional? Okay, maybe I think it's trivially propositional, right? Because these things are asserting facts about the world.
Well, I understand the phenomena. It's just that under both views, it doesn't seem like there's a divergence of phenomena. Just a divergence in things that we would use to call one cluster of atoms as opposed to another cluster of atoms. Like you might keep the same name, but that's not a propositional contrast.
Yeah, but there's a matter of fact of what the entity is and whether or not the entity persisted, right? Like, sure, you can use language to say, oh, well, that is him or something like that or whatever the fuck, but seemingly there's a matter of fact in which the entity persisted or ceased in some way.
No, there's actually not, because you already specified. That might have been an interesting question, but you already stipulated that there was a different cluster of atoms, a different cluster of matter.
Again, there would be a different cluster of atoms, right? Because You've been fucking
I'm really
nerds.
asking for the proposition that is expected under one but not the other. Like, I'm really curious what the proposition where
Okay, yeah.
both
So
these
what's
diverge.
So the problem is that we want to be able to say, or we understand that if I were to like teleport or something like teleportation is by means of atomizing my body. And so let's say I step through a teletransporter from point A to point B. Okay, so I think I want to be able to say that, okay, well, obviously I transported in some way. I think when we observe that phenomenon, something it was just simply me transporting. But under an anthropic or Darwinian, you just fucking die.
I don't. That's not true at all. What?
You're identical to the material
What I-
constituents. The material
what I-
constituents are fucking nerds.
What I want is motivation for that. But also, before we get into that, I actually have a couple questions. So, we're stipulating that it's a different cluster of matter in point B, right? At point A, where you entered point A, the cluster of matter had disintegrated or it decomposed, and then they didn't reconstruct. It was actually a different cluster of matter, right?
It's a different cluster of matter.
Okay, so you're able, on this view, that you exist at point B, the identical entity, correct? Okay, okay, so if that's the identical entity, there seems to be seemingly a contradiction here. So if I was able to give it an identical case, except when you walk into point A and then reemerge at point B, rather than the atoms decomposing at point A, they're merely replicated at point B. The exact same phenomena happens at point B. The only difference is that they weren't decomposed. That's the only thing. So I'm negating the proposition that they decomposed in the hypothetical domain. And now I want to ask,
Are the two entities at point A and point B identical under the anthropic view?
under
which
your
view?
view, the view that you said you wanted to use.
Yeah, they are identical.
Okay. So yeah, easily point B is identical, but I have issues. Because, right?
No, because you just simply moved from one point.
Do you remember the second case?
What was the second case? Sorry.
You keep on like scrolling on, I don't know, Tinder or something in the middle of the conversation. It's depriving your ability to track the hypotheticals that I'm offering.
I'm doing.
Okay. So in the second case, it was identical to the first case. The phenomena was identical and it was consistent in the second case. In point B. The first case and second case, first and second cases have the same point B. It's just that in the first case, the cluster of atoms at point A, they decompose. In the second case, I'm stipulating that they didn't decompose. And that's compatible because you've already stipulated that in point B, it's a different set of molecules, different cluster of matter. So now you want to say that both of those items are identical, even though they...
If that's stipulated, and that's perfectly fine, but the point of the hypothetical is to demonstrate that it seems odd and queer to suggest that we are identical to the biological constituents. Also, illusion, you're a fucking bitch. Get up here and stop bitching.
Look, man, you do not have enough gigabytes of RAM to focus on this task currently. I don't know why you would entertain another one. Just close some windows and, maybe I won't have to repeat myself. But, okay, no, unironically, telling me the point of the hypothetical didn't answer the question after I introduced the second case. The question was, you're going to say that both of those things are identical, even though they occupy different space-times?
They don't occupy different space-times at the same time.
Yes, they do. You don't even remember the hypothetical.
Oh, you're talking about the second. What was the second one again?
No, I was talking about the first one where obviously, yeah, I was talking about the second one. This is my second time repeating it. But yeah, at this point, I might just end the conversation soon. But so in the second case, hypothetical that you gave me, we already stipulate that at point B it's a different cluster of molecules. It's a different cluster of matter. And in the first case, the cluster of matter at point A decomposes. I'm simply introducing another case where that's just not the case. Identical in all else, but at point A they just don't decompose. Then I would ask you, you think those two individuals that occupy different points in space-time, you think those two individuals are identical? And I think that's a very queer way of using identity.
Oh, no. I would say, I would say that they're not.
Yeah, so you see the issue?
What's the issue? This is just cloning.
Okay, so you're committed to saying that. Well, you think you say that in case one, say that the entity at point B is identical to the entity at point A. In case one, right?
Yeah.
But at the second case, they're not identical, right?
Not identical. Yeah, not identical. I don't even know if this is physically possible.
Why?
I don't know how I feel about clones. But seemingly, under your view, this view would also
Can you name Can you name
basis.
two metaphysical laws?
Sure. So laws that violate stable relations and laws that violate relations in relata.
Those are metaphysical laws?
Relations in relata is a metaphysical concept, so are natures.
Okay. I feel like that's kind of just your commitment to metaphysics. Which I kind of take to be... Oh, your metaphysics. Okay, but it violates... It's metaphysically impossible for you, the person who
you asked
can't
me
explain...
for two metaphysical laws.
Person... Yeah, metaphysical laws, I was expecting there to be, like, literature on it.
There's literature on both of these things.
No, as a metaphysical law.
Just straight up calling it a you don't think that relations in relata is a metaphysical law?
I don't think there really are any metaphysical laws. I don't really know why you would say metaphysical impossibility. Because I feel like you're just using unnecessary words.
Then what is
Like
this
you can still engage with it if it's nomologically impossible. You can still engage with it if it's metaphysically impossible. I feel like the only stipulation would be if it's like epistemically impossible or logically impossible. Like one of those.
I don't think that's true. Yeah, I don't think that's true.
Okay. Well, that just might be a skill issue. Like honestly.
No, I think you're just trivially wrong.
If you didn't eat breakfast this morning and then you also got zapped by a squared circle ray, how would you feel?
I'd be really confused onto what a squared circle is.
And that's supposed to be different than any other time? You're confused on everything, Lit.
Than any other? What do you mean?
I mean that you're confused on everything.
Possible.
But yeah, there seems to be so there doesn't seem to be motivation for the view, especially. I don't think there's any like an actual proposition. So there's a blunder on that part. At least what I foresee to be a blunder. I'm very humble. But in the first case, you say that the entity at point A is identical to the entity at point B, but in the second case, they're not identical. Well, I really want to know like the trait true about the second case. That if true, the first case, there would be an identity breaker there. So that's another blunder. That's more motivations for why I wouldn't accept your view. We already talked about the last problem, which you wanted to move on from.
I don't think that the problem is that an immaterial property, but I do think that immaterial property can, let's say, follow along its material constituent. Same way that, let's suppose, for example, that consciousness is immaterial. There seems to be no issue in me saying that, in virtue of me like walking around to point A, point B, whatever the fuck, that my immaterial property follows in some way. But there does seem to be an issue to say that, what if I copy this immaterial property like ad nauseum? That seems to be an issue.
How do I say this lightly? I don't give a fuck if you think it's impossible. Like, I didn't ask if you think it could happen. Because I know what you mean by can. It's just not the logical modality. But as long as you can conceive of it in a logical sense, I don't care if it violates your Aristotelian laws of metaphysics.
I don't think I can.
Yeah, look, I grant that, and I think that's a nomological thing as well. Like, it's just you specifically that you don't have the ability to do that.
Oh, it's more that what constitutes some item X, and that understanding is violated insofar that you remove all of the constituents and just assign a different term onto it. That seems to be incoherent. Provide an example to this.
No, actually, I actually took 2 seconds, because what you said was like so appalling and just unnecessary that I didn't even take some time to think about it. The only reason you can't comprehend it is because I that was a reductio on your view that leads you to something. Did
you hear the explanation?
The explanation is that you can't conceive of something having those essential characteristics, and you taking those essential characteristics and removing.
No, it's a different entity.
Yeah, it was the same entity, but
no. In the example I provided, it's different. That's what it means to say that these things become incomprehensible.
You were correct me. Wait, I'm pretty sure you said that. At least what I thought you said was that you have issues understanding when you remove the essential characteristics of an entity, and then also label it as the same entity, right?
No, you assign a different term onto the entity.
Oh, wait, you have issues understanding when you assign different terms to things? That's it, like even worse. It's getting bad. It is really getting bad.
This is so bad. It's like the latter half of what I said. Are you okay?
I'm actually not okay.
So,
I mean, pretty much. Like, I've drawn out issues with his view, and like he's like fighting those issues as if like it's an issue with the question. But that was the entire point of the question, is that you'd have trouble wrapping your head around the dilemma that I presented to you. Like, once you fell for it, I mean, yeah, it's just
that's not even like true of the response I gave you.
It's so. Case do you not understand? Because clearly you understand the first case. You presented it. So now I want to know what part of the second case do you not understand?
This was also explained to you, by the way.
It was not explained. You tried to criteria and tried to apply. Calm down. No, unironically, you tried to stay consistent with your criteria and carry it on to the second case. That was the thing that I was saying was like, you're not going to be able to do that. Then you told me that you're not able to do that. I grant that. But there's not a proposition. There's not a proposition. There's no proposition. There's no proposition that you actually disagree with in the second case. Like, you don't have any.
I've already provided it.
What? Okay. What metaphysical law does the second case violate?
Okay, it commits a category error. So the previous example that I provided, which was a categorical error, was to say that it seems like, let's presuppose that consciousness is immaterial for a moment. It seems like we can walk around and say something like, okay, it seems like if my consciousness is immaterial, then it can like follow me around in some way. Now I use follow, but it seems like that's perfectly fine to say if that was true. But then if we take a case in which, okay, well, what if I were to copy like the immaterial property like ad nauseum? That seems to be incoherent insofar that I'm not sure. It seems that's what's unintelligible. It seems completely unintelligible to say something copied meant like ad nauseum. Doesn't make any fucking sense. How do we do that? Where do we put it?
And do you think that in my hypothetical that I gave you, do you think I copied any non-physical material?
Moron.
Where did I do that?
So if you have some entity that's about to walk, if cells don't decompose and he stays there, but then there's another one that appears at the outside of the door at a different point in space-time, then what you've done there effectively is copy the entity.
No, I didn't copy anything non-physical. Remember when I was talking?
Wait, okay, hang on.
I said I use 2 words interchangeably. I accidentally use atoms every once in a while, but I use 2 interchangeably, which was a cluster of matter and then a collection of molecules. Those are the 2 terms that I used to describe the situation. I never once said that you copy the exact same entity. In fact, I I'm doing something. Calm down, calm down, calm
I never
calm
said that
down,
you use
calm
the term
yourself.
copy.
Calm yourself. Calm yourself. Variable. So me particular, I should be worried about you copying something unnecessary when it violates a certain number of metaphysical laws that you commit yourself to. I did not do such thing. I merely articulated a structure. Calm down, calm down, calm down. I merely three times, not once, not twice, but 3 times articulated to you the exact same situation where you organize matter. I never once talked about anything immaterial, and so you were in essence fighting demons. You're fighting the demon of what you think Inua's argument is. And you're actually losing. Because you're doing so dog shit that you can't even stay on the app. Like, you get so rhetorically dominated in this conversation. You get substantively dominated in the conversation so
literally
badly,
blundering
you can't
all
stay
over the
on
place.
here.
You're on the
You need to
blunderbuss.
close your phone and take a break.
You need to stop
close your
talking
phone
Let
again.
someone relax.
Go get some water.
Because you're not actually
close your
you're not
phone,
actually
get some
tracking,
water.
You're
Try to
not
understand
tracking,
what I
you're not
say
tracking.
when I say
Holy
it 3
shit.
times. So
This kid
my
doesn't
question for you
shut
is,
the fuck
when was a single time that I
I'm
mentioned
just gonna ask
immaterial
you the
things?
question when you're done. Okay, I'm gonna ask you the question now.
I asked
Is
you a
it true or
question, you can
false
dodge. Go ahead.
I don't care. Okay, I'll ask your. Well, actually, I'm gonna answer your question by the series of questions. We're gonna agree on an answer once I'm done. Okay, so true or false? You asked me. Under my view, how would I account for this? True or false?
Yeah, I asked you under your view.
Okay, true. Is it true that under my material entity, true or false?
That's true.
Okay, cool. So when you say something like, "Oh, I never said anything about immaterial. I never mentioned anything about my view of a persistent entity through a fucking door," you're implicitly adding the immaterial property because under my view, that is a necessary constituent of that person. You retard.
That's the thing, idiot. I never stipulated that it was the same entity. I didn't use the term entity. I merely used collection of matter and a cluster of molecules. A collection of molecules. Talked about. I never once look. You idiot!
Is this
Stop
fucking
talking
question?
about.
Is this
Someone
question?
mute this moron. And I see you
Hang
trying to run.
on.
I see you. Go take a break. Close your.
Just calm down.
Close your
Just
phone.
calm down.
Close your phone.
Just relax.
Close your phone.
Just calm the fuck down.
Close your phone.
Just stop talking because you're not.
Close your phone again. Take a break. Never did I say it was the same entity. I chastise you for using the same variable.
Add another fucking meatball? What a fuck?
Was I muted? Wait, why was I muted, Plasma?
Oh, I was just trying to mute it because you guys are just yelling. I don't know if that's what.
Just go one at a time. It was my turn to talk.
Okay, what if you have a fucking meatball and the meatball gets copied over to a different fucking meatball?
Plasma, I think you understand it was my turn to talk.
Yeah, I was just because I'm laying on my back with my eyes closed, just listening. So I'm not really.
You're not muting. Mute the dog. Mute the dog.
Okay,
but anyway,
Rancho, if you want to like take
talking.
over.
Look, well, if there's a moderator that can like actually control this animal, right? Okay. I never said it was the same entity.
Yo, Rancho.
You can use your headcanons and you can fight the demon known as what you think I'm implying, but I'm not doing that. The issue is, it actually does I concur with you. It does violate your metaphysical commitments, idiot, because you're trying to explain the case with your commitments, idiot. I never stipulated that you have to announce that it is the same thing. I stipulated that there's a cluster of matter. There is a collection of molecules, exactly in the same case as before. Never once did I say that you have to commit yourself to the view that there are 2 of them. I'm saying that under your view, how would you answer that? That is a question. You can't answer that question because, yes, it violates your metaphysical commitments, which is what you were telling me you can't. Idiot! Calm down! Idiot! Calm down! I'm not done.
Oh my...
But yeah, unironic question is that you're telling on yourself. You're telling me that it violates metaphysical laws. Idiot! I know that! That's why I gave you the hypothetical, stupid. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The problem here is that when you say something like, okay, suppose matter, blah, 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 motherfucker, under your view, that's what it means to be a fucking entity. Okay, that's what it means to be, and I know, like, you don't actually believe in person, at least what seems to be a person is just a fucking meatball sack. Okay, so when you say, okay, here are my okay, so take the same case in which the relevant entity is just constituted by a bunch of matter and a bunch of atoms, blah blah blah. Under your view and under your semantics, I understand that to be my semantics of when we're talking about this particular entity. Okay, so when you use something like, oh, a fucking meatball sack, I interpret that to mean, okay, he's just talking about a meatball sack in the way that I understand a meatball sack or a fucking carbon bag, which is just a fucking person that has the immaterial property. Now, when you say something like, I know that this violates your metaphysical laws, that's why I gave it to you, then you understand that when I give, that when you ask me this question, the question is rendered unintelligible to me insofar that it's metaphysically impossible. Okay, under your view, under your anthropic view of persistence, it's completely possible. It's completely nomonologically possible for someone to enter from one door and exit through another. Okay, but the problem with that view is that it can't account for the relevant persistence insofar that the persistence is constituted by material properties exclusively. Okay, but under my view, however, does not have that defect when you re-articulate the hypothetical, committing a category error. Okay, so this is an advantage that my view has and a disadvantage that your view has.
Yeah, I told you that it's exactly the same case as the case A, but in case B, the only thing that's different is that in point A, or I'll say case number 1, the only thing that's different about case number 1 and case number 2, A, rather than deconstructing, and I asked you these questions before I posited it in the hypothetical, because I can see 10 steps ahead of you. I can see what you're going to say, and I can see the objections that you pitifully try to attempt, like at least before you even think to think those. But yeah, so I stipulated that I asked you, I got confirmation that it's just a cluster of matter, and now in the cluster of matter, a different cluster of matter recomposed. So the only thing that I changed was just one. Then I asked you, and I'm sure you don't remember this, and I asked you, you can understand the first case, but you can't understand the second one. And I then asked you what was true about it. You then go on to say that it violates some metaphysical commitments. But I just want to know why it violates those. I think that if your metaphysical commitments are such that the same matter can't just keep its form, even though I was very clear on I'm just talking about form, so you just keep assuming what I'm talking about. Just stop doing that. Also, thank you so much for the roses. But yeah, I don't think that the hypothetical that I gave you is like hard to understand. I think that if you can understand it the first 3 times that I explained it to you, you should genuinely never debate. I know I'm trolling. I know you're trolling. I know it's a little heated. I know you're a little heated. But like unironically, you're better than that. I can re-articulate the case again if you want. But yeah, I wasn't talking about your persistent criterion, which are immaterial. I was very keen on expressing that they are the same thing. So now I want to know what law does it violate to have a cluster of matter replicated at another point without the previous cluster being decomposed? I want to know which law that violates.
A cluster of matter, are you just referring to a fucking lifeless meatball?
No, it's not lifeless. It actually meets the 7 criteria of life, idiot.
Okay, so it's a fucking fucking ball sitting there.
No.
Okay, describe the fucking entity to me.
As it looks like a human. It has neurons. Do you know what neurons are?
Is it a human?
It's Homo sapien.
It's Homo sapien? Okay, again, if it is Homo sapien...
Yo, Penson, thank you so much for the gifts, holy shit.
And it is a human, then under my view, it's constituted by an immaterial property. The problem being that it commits a category. The metaphysical law that's being violated is that it commits a category error. That's
so you can't account for the case?
The case is unintelligible. The case can't happen.
Under persistent conditions. What's the name of that law? Let me look into it.
The name of the law, the category error, it's just called a category error. You're just making a fucking category error. That's a kind of law violation.
Idiot. You said it violates a law of metaphysics, moron.
Yeah, okay, so, what would it just be? A persistence law. It could be the law of persistence.
Okay, the law of persistence?
Law of Aristotelian persistence, sure.
It violates that law?
And the way it violates that law is by committing a basic category error.
It's not a category error. You think that being a physical... Calm down. So you think that in all cases, and you kind of do have to commit yourself to logical modality if you just don't want to engage with the hypothetical. So for all cases, that cluster of matter that is Homo sapien, a Homo sapien cluster of matter, that necessarily has this non-physical attachment to it, right?
Under my semantics, what it means to be human, yes.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't be Homo sapien if it didn't have that thing, right?
It wouldn't be human, yeah, no.
So P-zombies they're not Homo sapien, right?
No, they're like weird fucking...
Do you think those are idiosyncratic semantics of Homo sapien? Idiosyncratic semantics of Homo sapien?
Homo sapien?
No, a sex doll isn't a carbon-based organism.
Okay, if it was carbon-based?
If a carbon-based sex doll? Are you stupid?
Have you ever seen... Yeah, are you retarded? Have you ever seen... Okay, have you ever...
You keep saying that to evade.
Hang on. Have you ever seen this? No, I'm actually adding a point onto it every time I call you a retard. Okay, so here's the...
you're using it to evade. You're hoping the algorithm... You're hoping the algorithm takes it down, idiot.
Motherfucker, I literally said I'd move lives. We've moved lives. I have no issue doing that. No,
your account's going to get restricted.
I have 10 accounts. I'll just come back. You're an idiot. Okay, so...
I didn't know you were that chronically online to have 10 accounts, but yeah, sorry.
Is that okay? Whatever. That's like a non-point. Your name is fucking Lucario, dude. Lock the fuck in. Okay. So, anyways, okay. Have you ever heard of this really like indie show called Rick and Morty?
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Well, in the show Rick and Morty, you have like a carbon-based organism, but essentially, I mean, it is a pea zombie, but it's also just a sex doll.
Can it reproduce the human species?
Actually, yeah.
It can reproduce with it?
Yeah, it can.
Okay, that's enough under nomological understanding of human. That's enough for it to be human. If it can like
no sentience, no consciousness, nothing. It's literally just a fucking sex doll. But
yeah, it's like a tumor.
Situated. Hang on.
Tumors don't have sentience or consciousness.
Hang on. Calm down, little guy. Okay, so it's constituted by biological processes, has anthropomorphic traits in every fucking way. But obviously, we wouldn't call that thing a Homo sapien. We'd call it a fucking sex doll that's made of meat.
Yeah.
What? You're disgusting. What?
I don't know if you want to chill out on this.
That's obviously you.
No.
That's actually gross.
You want to say that it's a Homo sapien, but trivially, it's not. Nobody understands that thing to be a Homo sapien just because it's constituted
you say that we want to call it a sex doll. No, the fuck I don't. If it can, if it can reproduce with the human species, I don't want to call it a sex doll. What?
Okay, what are your semantics on a sex doll?
That's like... something that I don't want to call it. That's for sure.
That's not what I asked.
Something where it's something where it was created for sex.
Yeah, there you go. That's that. Yep,
I don't even want to say that.
There you go. That's what that is.
Jesus. Oh, so do you agree with those semantics though?
No, I wouldn't call it a Homo sapien. I wouldn't call it a human.
No, do you agree with the semantics of sex doll?
Under those semantics, sure.
No, do you agree with do you hold to those semantics?
A sex doll is just something that's created to fuck.
Yeah.
There's probably more conditions there, but that can be one of them.
Yeah, because I don't agree with those. But if you agree with those, then yeah. I know I said I did, but I've never had to define for somebody what a sex doll is. I mean, that's kind of just like a weird topic in which I'm not surprised you probably thought. I'm not surprised you probably thought about that a lot.
The problem is that
it's just something that I personally never.
The reason why this needs to be defined is because this thing is okay. It's like trivial. It's like really fucking obvious. Okay, so
so if it's trivial, then you can just tell me what it is.
Trivial, it's obvious that it's not a sex doll in any way, and I've asked you to define what a sex doll is, okay? But you seem really hesitant and want to instead.
No, I'm saying I don't want to call it a sex doll.
Hang on, calm down, okay?
I can tell you whatever a sex doll is. That's not a sex doll.
Calm down. What is a sex doll?
I learned it ostensively.
I'm sorry?
It's an ostensive thing. It's an ostensive concept.
So it can only be you can only understand through an example.
Yeah, I know properties about it and that it's not one of those things.
Okay, so a necessary condition to not be a sex doll is that you cannot reproduce with the human.
Oh, that's an analytic property.
Yeah, that's what it means. Yeah, I know.
Sorry. I actually blundered. I meant to say that's an accidental property.
It's an accidental property to be able to reproduce.
Yeah, but low-key, I kind of don't feel comfortable talking about sex dolls on TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, I got live warnings. So.
Jesus.
Just lock in.
Yeah, but wait, I'm actually curious, Pensive. Do you understand case number 2, given that you understand case number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of didn't struggle with it at all. Wait, Lex, do you understand case number 2?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Wait, it's Loki not looking good. Wait, Rancho, do you understand case number 2?
I guess that's one for lit.
Wait, that was
Wait,
a
Rancho, do you not understand case number 2? Oh, W.
Oh, he's dead asleep right now. He's dead asleep.
Bro's dead.
Dude, he is literally going memes right now. Holy shit.
The problem isn't that I didn't understand what it was that you were trying to say. It's just that the case is rendered
You did. I had to
so
repeat
far.
it 3 times. But
Hang on. Calm down. It's just that the case is rendered unintelligible in virtue of the metaphysical commitments I have. Now,
Is
when
it
you talk
logical?